I'd like to start tonight with a public hearing for special permit for senior housing. Has anybody signed up to speak?
Well, public hearing, you don't need to sign it, right?
Yeah. Yes, please. Do you have, could I have those clipboards? Thank you.
Hang on one second, we're just gonna grab it.
We can let him do a brief presentation. Thank you.
How many people do you think signed it?
I have a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
No one signed up.
Yes. So, yeah, we can do a brief presentation.
Want to take over?
Good evening. My name is Jason Dell. I'm an engineer with Wilton Engineering. Here on behalf of the applicant for the Route 50 senior housing.
That mic's not working. Can't hear that.
Is it on?
I think you just have to get closer or talk loud.
It's like karaoke.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Good evening. My name is Jason Dell. I'm an engineer with Lansing Engineering. Here on behalf of the applicant for the Route 50 senior housing site plan. We're here this evening for the public hearing for this special use for the project. Brief overview of our project. It is located at 4029 New York State Route 50. The parcel is one parcel that is approximately 29.97 acres in size and is zoned as part of the C1 zoning district. So our project proposes a 55 and older senior housing community that will include the construction of 3 four-story apartment buildings with associated parking, sidewalks, landscaping, utilities, and outdoor amenities. Each building will have 130 units for a total of 390 senior living units. The project will contain 2 curb cuts on Route 50. There will be a main entrance that will be comprised of a boulevard entrance, as well as a secondary entrance that will be for emergency purposes. Our project requires approximately 435 stalls to meet the town code, and we exceed that, and we are proposing a total of approximately 492 parking stalls. There are quite a bit of amenities that are proposed throughout the site that include tennis, putting green, various courtyard areas, as well as some pickleball courts. Water and sewer service will be provided to the project via connections to the Wilton Water and Sewer Authority systems, and stormwater will be managed on site in accordance with all requirements. So we're here this evening to listen to any public comments pertaining to our project with the hope of advancing the project.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for him?
Nope.
Go on right up. Yeah, who signed up?
No one.
Sorry, I didn't sign.
Go ahead, that's fine, you can just take the mic.
You know, we got a lot of people talking tonight, so we're going to enforce the 3-minute rule.
Hi, Tony Sturm from Parkhurst Road. I want to know if you would be willing to link your project to the mall and to that whole geographic area with some multi-use paths. It'd be very easy, right down the side of Route 50 or through the county forest. Thank you. That would be a give back to the community in addition to your project.
Anyone else?
I just had a question.
Could you please tell me your name, please?
Linda Bobby-Larry. What are the costs of these going to be? What are the rental costs? Or do they buy them, or what do you propose?
I do not have the rental costs at this time. We're still in the early stages of that.
Okay.
Can you speak in the mic, because there's a lot of people in the hallway that can't hear.
There was no answer to the question, sir.
I don't think we have speakers out there anyways.
Did they give you any idea?
I think originally they mentioned that the prices were going to be in the range, I think, around 2,000 to 3,000 per month.
I don't think we need to get answer every single question. Just hear it. Just a comment.
Anybody else?
Anyone in the back have anything to say on that project? Come on up.
Bob Rietmeyer, Ingersoll Road, around the corner from the project. I'm curious if 4 stories is typically what's going to be built. It's not anything in the area that's that high. I'm concerned about the night sky, the lights. I want to still see the North Star from the house. So anything that can be done for dark sky, compliant lighting for the area. And I was going to mention linking to the county trails through the state forest back to the county trails would be nice.
Thank you. Anyone else in the back?
Somebody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Close the public hearing on the project.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have another public hearing on amendment to chapter 43 of the Wilton Town Code. That does the New York State Building and Fire Code.
We have Charles Cronin, who'd like to speak on Chapter 43. All right.
Charles Cronin?
Yes.
Charles Conan out there?
Yeah, I signed up, but
Wrong one?
not speaking about this, I'm talking about button.
We'll switch you over to the other one.
Sorry, you got
We don't.
Anything else?
Bradford Wiggins.
They probably- Okay,
Okay, thank you.
we'll get you on the next one.
Right.
That's it.
Anybody else? Somebody want to make a motion to close it?
So moved.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Carried. All right, we're going to start the regular town board meeting with the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Supervisor Lamp.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor McEachran.
Here.
Councilman Bogardus.
Here.
Councilwoman Colligan is excused. Councilman O'Connor.
Here. That guy.
Sorry.
No accounted for. Who do we have signed up for public comment? And as I say, we got a lot of people want to speak, so we're going to enforce the 3-minute rule.
We have John Burke.
Speak into the mic, sir.
My name is John Burke. I'm a resident here in the town of Wilton, 22 Palmer Terrace. I've lived here for 24 years, raised my family here. I'm quite concerned that the complexion of the community has changed so drastically since I've been here with new housing, multiple unit apartment complexes, commercial corridor build out. It's completely changed from 24 years ago, and of course change will happen, but it has to be regulated, and I think we're all pretty happy with where we live and what we have, and we don't want to lose it. And I think we're trending that way if we continue to allow more housing to be built that in the area that's being built in with the track, the attraction of the track, the potential for it to be sublet and not used as a permanent residence. If I was, I am over 55, and if I'm going to buy a new piece of property, it's probably not going to be at the mall. Regardless of what it's connected to, I just don't feel it's a good use of the resources of the town to continue to build out the way this proposal is set up. Single-family homes are one thing, raising a family in those homes is a good thing. This doesn't seem to add to that base, so I'm opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Clark.
Good evening, Chris Clark, 27 Palmer Terrace. I've lived in this town for 20 years. I'm very concerned about the apartments going in at the mall. I looked at the traffic study. They did a 4-day study in March of 2022. Let's do a study when track season's open or during the holidays when Route 50 is jammed to begin with. You add the new housing development going in now with our one traffic circle. Now we're going to enter these apartments into the mix. I think Route 50 is going to be a complete and utter mess. I believe that we should put that project on hold, and let's see how it looks after Forest Grove is put in, and then go from there. I just think we're bolting at the seams now, and if we add these apartments, we're just going to have more problems. The traffic is pretty bad now, certain times of the day, certain times of the year. And I believe adding these apartments in, we're just asking for more problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Al Moscolo.
Good evening, everyone. Al Moscola, 50 Sheffield Road in Wilton. Like many of us and the people I was speaking to today, you know, I worked for the state for 27 years, and I made the sacrifice to come up to Wilton, bypassing Malta and Clifton Park, which was too much like Long Island. So we've been up here close to 20 years, and I just feel, you know, looking at Route 9 and looking at the new apartments going, the buildings, I'm sorry, the housing going in with that traffic circle, that was a tipping point. So now, how are you going to get past Stewart's through that circle and make a left? So I'm very much opposed to the building set up for the mall. I think it's too much, and we're growing too fast. I think we just need to breathe a little bit. For those of us that have been here as long as I am, maybe more, 20 years, Route 9 was nothing. Now we have, the new Jiffy Lube or whatever it is there. Did we need that? You know, we got that huge Cumberland Farms. It's just a whole different dynamic. Even when I go down to say I want to go to the Triangle Diner from my house. Why should it take me 20 minutes to go a couple of miles to the Triangle Diner? It's just too busy, and I honestly believe we're growing too fast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Schaefer, please.
Good evening, members of the board and the general public. My name is Mike Schaefer, 21-year resident.
Into the mic, please.
21-year resident of Wilton and also the general manager of the Wilton Mall. I'm here this evening to comment on proposed residential as the next step in the evolution of the Wilton Mall property. Our evolution began in 2012 and 2013 with the conversion of a former JCPenney store, which had been vacant for 5 years, to Healthy Living Market and Cafe and a Planet Fitness gym. At that time, these were unprecedented uses in a mall environment, but have proved to be welcome additions. Fast forward to the latest development with the conversion of the former Sears store to Saratoga Hospital for their many uses, including primary care, clinical services, and administrative functions. This was also a welcome addition to our mall and the community. We're now faced with another challenge. The department store decline combined with the pandemic impacts have led to the recent closure of 18 permanent national tenant stores. A strong national tenant base is key to the mall's success, and these losses have had a significant impact on our income and the property valuation. In fact, over the past decade, the property's assessed value has decreased by almost 80%, which directly impacts both school and Town of Wilton tax revenues. We're now focused on reversing this trend and want to do what many mall owners facing the same challenges throughout the country are doing, and adding a key component of successful mixed-use development. Multifamily residential will help the mall attract uses needed: dining, entertainment, hospitality, services, and national retailers, to make it a true live, work, play destination and a community gathering place. Reversing the decline in the increase and increasing the mall's value is a win-win for all concerned, and we need to take advantage of the unique opportunity that the Paramount development presents. It's important to note that this would be a redevelopment of an area at the back of the mall that is currently occupied by a vacant Bon-Ton store and underutilized parking. It's an undesirable location for retail, but perfect for residential. The apartments will be separate from the mall with improved aesthetics and new pedestrian connections between the mall, residential, and county forest. As part of the regional mall that was designed for more intensive uses, our project won't negatively impact traffic, schools, infrastructure, the environment, or our neighbors. This is all outlined in our application, and we are here to share that information this evening. I would encourage anyone interested in learning more about our proposed project to stay for the full presentation tonight, or if the board prefers, at the upcoming public hearing. You can also visit our public outreach site, reimaginewiltonmall.com, where all our submissions have been posted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Jason Dell.
Jason Dell.
Did he leave?
He was the presenter.
Okay, he was on the list. Okay. Linda.
That's okay, it's me.
Yep. Thank you.
Monica Larry.
Oh, thanks. I'm just gonna go with just me.
I've been a resident in Wilton for... Turn the mic down. I've been a resident in Wilton for 46 years. I've raised my kids here. I've seen this place grow and flourish, and I just think enough is enough. We don't need any more luxury apartments. Look at Route 9. There are apartments after apartments after apartments on it. It's going on Route 50. Bring back some stores to the mall that everyone would appreciate. Bring back the movie theater. Bring back decent restaurants over on Lowe's Drive. We could all use a Cracker Barrel or something like that to go to. But no more luxury apartments, please. I am totally opposed to what's going to happen at the mall. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I drop this?
No dropping the mic.
I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Migliozzi.
Shut up.
I can't say that.
Can you hear me back there? All right.
I don't even need a mic, dude.
I'm going to echo everything they said about the traffic and all the other stuff. I'm from Saratoga, and it's going to spill over to that. We don't want to make this another Saratoga Springs. Same, all these buildings everywhere else. And as far as what they said about the mall, if you want to say Wilton Mall, you need to put together a great marketing committee, bring back stores, restaurants, activity places, etc. That's what you need to do. And the biggest question I have is for the developers, what's the purpose? What's the purpose other than filling the pockets? That's all. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Go on. Shut up.
Thank you.
Richard Marks.
It's good advice, the less we say it better.
Richard Marks, 14 Corey Boulevard. I want to start off by saying we're fortunate to live in the best town, in the best county in New York State, and I'd like it to remain that way. Building that's what I want. We have to, again, my point is we want to do this in steps. We have a development going in with, I think, 400 homes. I have no idea how it's going to affect the infrastructure until after the homes are built and people are living there. Before we add another 400 houses or homes, I think we should take our time to see how this affects the area and then move on accordingly. That's my feelings, but again, let's keep this the best town and the best county in the state.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Ed Kukowski, please.
I'm actually actually here to speak about the moratorium. Is that out of...
No, you're good. This is public
This is
comment.
good, okay. So I have just a few questions about it, assuming we're going to have one. So my first question is the moratorium basically designed to amend this regulation number 108, which is the regulation, the solar regulation and the existing solar regulation? So I believe the moratorium is to tighten up the specifications, somebody said.
Stop all projects and take a step back and look at it, make a decision. But it's just to stop anything from coming in and getting built out.
Right, but the work product at the end of it is what I'm questioning. The work product will be an amended regulation 108, I believe?
Well, we don't know until we have the public hearing, until we deliberate on it, what we're going to do. So we can't answer the question, what are we going to do? And another thing I'd like to mention, and by the way, I commend everybody for being polite and clear and everything else during the public comment period. We often have controversial issues, and everyone has conducted themselves in a very diplomatic fashion, and we appreciate that. But during the public comment period, it's an opportunity for residents to tell us what's on their mind, and it's not necessarily a give and take and a debate or a question and answer. But so if you'd like to just share with us, what your point of view is on that particular issue, that would be great.
What you would like.
What I would like?
What you would like. Yeah, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear what you would like.
I'm okay with solar. I just don't want it where it's being located, the Quaker Springs project, because it's right next to our residential neighborhood, which I live there. I'm on 7 Norwood. I mean, the property line of the solar project's property line is right up against the property lines of at least 9 of the houses in our community. I just think that's wrong. It's okay to build it, but I don't think it should be near residential areas. I think they should be, and it should state it somewhere, like in this regulation. That's at the end of the day, we need to, amend that, and it should be stated somewhere. I mean, I've heard references of maybe a mile away from any residential area, which isn't a far distance. You can walk a mile in a few minutes, So, 20 minutes, actually. So, I do it all the time. So, that's my point about that project. I think it should be, and I think this particular regulation S108 should be amended. It should specifically make statements like that, so it's very clear, which it does not now. And I'd like to be able to be involved somehow when you're doing the amendment during the moratorium. I'd like to know if we can have comments, So I'd be interested in getting involved with that, and I don't understand what the process is yet, and I realize it may not be developed yet, but I would like to also know that when it's ready, okay?
Those meetings are open.
They're all open meetings.
All those
Oh,
meetings.
they're all going to be all open meetings? Good. So they'll be scheduled on the town website, I assume?
Yes.
And after the moratorium is decided? Good. So that's going to be great. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Point, sir.
Todd Harvey.
My name's Todd Harvey. I live on Cobble Hill Drive, and I've been a resident here for 18 years now. I grew up in Saratoga Springs, living my whole life 2 blocks from the racetrack, so like everyone else, I've seen a lot of changes, and when I was looking to purchase a home with my family, we looked everywhere. We looked in Boston Spa, Clifton Park, Saratoga. We could have built anywhere, but we chose town of Wilton. We just loved the school district. We loved, how it was a small community. And my biggest concern is that, just like everyone else, I feel my development is right next to where they're putting in the Forest Grove. I can deal with that for now, But now with the development up at the mall, I'm very opposed to that. Like many of you, I've grown up with Pyramid Mall and things. I understand that, everyone has to make money. We need to, the mall needs to survive. There's, like the other gentleman said, there's options. You can, you don't have to have those big 20,000 square foot, stores. Put in smaller stores, and you're gonna, attract a lot more people. They've done a lot of things to try to revive and put in like the farmer's market during the winter time. There's a lot of other ideas that we can do to generate money. I also have a concern with how is the apartment complex going to benefit us taxpayers, in town of Wilton, and what it's going to also do to our stressed out school districts as they are already. My wife's a teacher at Shenendahowa, small school, Chango Elementary in Boston Lake, and Global Foundries came in. That school is taxed. They can't get enough teachers in there. They don't have enough room. There's too many kids in the classes and, not enough rooms and teachers for that. And I see that happening with, our schools in Saratoga with the constant building and everything. And I just would like to let the board know I'm very opposed to the apartments up there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Matt Rose.
Matt Rose from 23 Adirondack Circle. I've lived in the town of Wilton for about 10 years now. I'm opposed to the apartments at the Wilton Mall. I think we have 6 or 7 at least with the same exact concept within 5 miles of it. It's unoriginal and short-sighted. It's not in the best interest of the town.
Thank you.
Thank you. Frank Palumbo.
Members of the board, my name is Frank Palumbo. I've lived in the town since 1992, so a good fair amount of time. And I can remember when the halls of the mall were the type that you had to cut a path through. It is no longer that. I was also on the school board for 15 years. And had a pretty good lesson in the assessments. And one thing that I was always proud of when I was there was that Marge Little, as the town assessor, not only set the assessments correctly, but she defended them. It was something that didn't always happen in Saratoga. And I recall, I might not be exactly right, but I recall at that time that the mall's assessment might have been as high as $84 million. It is now at $43 million. There's lots of reasons and different valuation structures that they use for that, but obviously we're not going to, and it is going down. And we are not going to see that tax revenue unless something is done. I believe what the town is doing, or what the mall is doing, is a first step in that process. It is a gray field, not a green field. We already saw another project. We talked about Forest Grove. We're seeing development taking up more of our green space, which they have every right to. As you know, presented to many a planning board meeting, I work for developers. I've worked on over 60% of the projects that are in the Exit 15 area. Ryan knows that, and so does Mark, because I think I've presented in front of them many times. The fact of the matter is, Exit 15 works very well. It always has. Yes, there are times when traffic is at the crest, but this traffic at the mall was already accounted for. Putting the development there is not going to have as much of an impact because it's already at the positions. Just like I said, when you went to the mall back then, the traffic would be all the way down those roads onto the ring road because that's how busy it was, and that's what the traffic was at that time. So for some people who have already spoken about what's going to happen with the traffic, you don't hold up what is potentially a good project that can rejuvenate more parts of the mall. So you get an immediate tax increase from that there, but it also is the synergy. A lot of the complaints that I'm hearing tonight about Route 9 have to do with action that created the hamlets where the apartments were built, and Route 9 did not have the capacity to support that. The mall property has the capacity to support that. You don't hold up a project like this because there's another project, Forest Grove, that went through the process and got there. So I realize it's 3 minutes. What I would ask, Mr. Supervisor, set a public hearing. There's obviously enough comment on this, and it should be given its due to really look at and ask the developer to provide all the answers to the questions that people have had. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert McNee.
Hi. I've only lived here for 5 years. I've been coming up here for over 30. I am enthusiastically in support of the development. The gentleman spoke before me, spoke outgoingly on the subject. I was involved in development down in New York City for 40 years, and usually the discussion is, we've got a green space, we're getting rid of the green space, and we're putting something up. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, and I know everyone has, we like to look back and wouldn't it be nice if the malls were the way they used to be? There's a lot of things we like if they were the way they were. I was involved in commercial development. If the mall had been able to find people to rent huge spaces or even smaller spaces, they would have done it. That would have been the easiest thing for them to do. This only resulted when those options, were no longer viable. Half of the people here probably order a good 30% of what they buy from Amazon and these others. So the mall, it's not going to be the same. We have a chance. My final comment. One of the reasons I moved to Wilton as opposed to Greenfield is because my taxes are half of the taxes of the guy a mile away from me. And the reason is we have a commercial tax base with the mall. We have to supplement that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Dave Harmon.
Dave Harmon.
How are you?
See everybody. I'm a business owner in Wilton and Saratoga. Like the gentleman just spoke before me. The mall situation is going to be a dinosaur unless they do. The mall is going to become a dinosaur unless they do something. The infrastructure is already there, and I can tell you this. I've lived in Saratoga since 1996. Now, Saratoga is 29,000 people. Wilton is about 17 and change. The bottom line is, and I can be sympathetic for the people that live out here and they don't want something expanded. The bottom line to this whole thing is they don't have to do anything. They're not knocking trees down or anything like that. It's already there. They've done it in Saratoga. The traffic, I had a property on Broadway. Now I have a property 2 blocks off of Broadway. The traffic is the traffic. It is what it is. It's not going to go away. Wilton is going to benefit by it. So
We have to live in today. We can't live in yesterday. It's like a friend of mine says, you know why they made a windshield big and a rear view mirror small? They go this way. And we have to be proactive. It's simple as that. I've seen it in Saratoga. And you know what? Business goes on. And there's a lot of green space out here. You don't want to touch that. This is already there. If this doesn't happen, it's going to happen somewhere else that the people that live in Wilton they're not going to benefit by it. We can't do anything about the traffic. It's today. It's the 20th century. And I just think it's a no-brainer. I think if the guys from Shark Tank were on this thing, they'd be salivating. That's how good it is. It is. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Thank you.
Susan Holm.
Am I speaking into the mic? No. Good evening, everyone on the board and fellow residents. My name is Dr. Susan Holm. I possess my PhD in ethics, and my specialization has been in environmental ethics, and in particular, the ethics of urbanization. Like a lot of people who have spoken here tonight, I'm also a long-term resident of Wilton. I've been here in my home for 26 years. My kids went to Dorothy Nolan and then middle school and high school. And I hope to one day invite my grandkids to my home, which is off of Northern Pines. I'm here to speak actually in favor of the Wilton Mall project, and for kind of a variety of reasons, and I hope you don't mind I take the full 3 minutes. You can't hear me? Is this better? Okay. So I want to reject a lot of the claims that I've heard from certain members of the board that no residents of Wilton want this project. And I have heard you tonight, a lot of you that don't want the project. I just came from Winslow's. Everybody knows Winslow's, right? And there were about 25 residents there, including Jeff. Jeff has owned Winslow's for 30 plus years, and his parents owned it before them. And I just did like a quick survey, like, hey, everybody, I'm going to the Wilton Town Hall meeting to talk about the Wilton Mall project. What do you think? And I laid it out in like 30 seconds, and I said, raise your hand if you're in favor. And every single person in the room raised their hand. There were like 30 people there. Every single person said yes, absolutely. And so here's what I want to say. So first I want to address some of the concerns that I have heard. So I've heard concerns about environmental impacts, and as one of the gentlemen before me noted, there are none. We're actually, the project that's proposed is adding green space, not taking any away. There will be more grass, more trees planted. There will be added green space. As noted by others before me, traffic impacts is a concern. But this is a mall, people. Like, look at the empty parking lots and the infrastructure of the mall and the infrastructures of the surrounding roadways. The lights are in place. It's not going to be made worse. And the traffic studies support that. I've also heard kind of more horrific things about we're afraid of transient apartment dwellers. And so from my own personal research, which goes back 20 years on the ethics of urbanization, when you have higher end apartment buildings, such as what's being proposed, such as like the Hamlet, phase 1 and 2, if you're familiar with it, it's where Crew Coffee is and Fresh Choice Market. The average resident lives there more than 5 years. May I continue, please?
30 seconds.
Sorry?
30 seconds.
30 seconds, wow. Okay, so some quick facts then. We have a dying mall, and it's going to die.
Sorry.
If you're interested in what that looks like, It looks like this, friends. This is what, I'll pass these around. These are what dying malls look like. They're a blight on the land, and once they get there, they never come back. And what I'm hearing is a chicken and egg argument. You want shop and play and entertainment, you want nicer restaurants and nicer shops, you're gonna have some residents who live there. Fact, people will eat and shop where they live and where it's convenient.
Thank you.
These are facts. I wish I had 3 more minutes, but I don't.
Thank you.
I'm very strong in favor of this project, and if you want to come talk to me, I can tell you more. Thank you.
Thank you.
And lastly, please have the public hearing. Please do not just crush this right here and now. Let's have a public hearing.
Joanne Klepitar.
I'm Joanne Klepitar from Parkhurst Road. Supervisor Land has appointed a committee to study and move forward the feasibility of multi-use paths in our town, as outlined in our own open space, recreation, and pathways plan, updated in 2021. Sitting on the newly formed committee are Town Board Member Ray O'Connor, Planner Engineer Ryan Riper, Highway Superintendent Mike Monroe, Planning Board Member Tom Murphy, and resident Monica Howe. I just want to say that I hope this is an active committee and that positive change will come out of it. Just a note at this early stage that simply widening a shoulder on a road, unless it's a full 48 inches, is detrimental to walkers, runners, and cyclists as well. I have many statistics to back me up on this. Although in-house work on this might save money, it would be a dangerous way to move forward. I would also like to invite the town board and members of the public to visit the website Walk and Bike Wilton Project. With regard to the Wilton Mall revitalization project being proposed, I would encourage the town board to proceed to the next logical step in the process of public hearing. It's been mentioned that taxes will go up if these apartments were built. This could not be further from the truth, and it sounds like a fear tactic to turn the public off to the project. I checked with an assessor of a neighboring town just south of us on Route 9, where hundreds of apartments have propped up over the past several years, and she confirmed what I knew to be the case. This is an opportunity that Wilton can't afford to pass up. They could have chosen Aviation Mall to our north, another mall that has succumbed to the effects of online shopping. That mall is hardly viable now. Couple of questions I'd like the developers to answer would be, what is the source of heating in your proposed buildings? Where will all the demolition debris go? And would you consider monetarily helping the town of Wilton build multi-use paths? A couple of comments I'd like to add are, thank you for choosing our Wilton Mall to revitalize. Thank you for proposing more housing without the need to cut more land, taking away our limited open space. And from what I've read, this project targets more older residents, and so our schools will not be impacted by increased enrollment as they are with other housing developments. Thank you. And please get some kind of a PA system or streaming something. Spend the money and do it.
Tony Sturm. Whoops, missed one. Hi, board and fellow residents. Tony Sturm of Parkhurst Road in Wilton, New York. I want to reiterate some of the points that some of the more recent speakers have made. When people bring up objections to the mall about it's more traffic, more congestion, more people, more building, and they point out Route 9, I am a tree hugger. I do not like development. I was very unhappy with the recent spate of developments on Route 9, the large apartment buildings. But people, we have an opportunity here to revitalize a dying mall. It's going to be dead, and it's going to be a blight. on our town. We have an opportunity to impact our town tax revenue and also to impact our school revenue. People who move into these kind of apartments are older people. They're not people with the same number of children as people who are going to be in the large housing development going in north of Jones Road, and yet the average value of these apartments is not much less than the average value of the average single-family home in Wilton. So actually, there's going to be a net gain of school taxes to the Saratoga School District as high as $800,000 a year once you educate the children who will be coming in from these mall apartments. The tax revenue from just the construction costs of this project will be huge to local retailers, probably like Lowe's and Home Depot. And then the annual spending of the residents is going to be tremendous, and they're going to bring in, you know, $300,000-$400,000 a year of tax income just to the town of Wilton, not to the county, just to Wilton. So we really stand to benefit. And I think if people are upset about the amount of development, then we need to apply pressure to our town board to relook at the hamlets, to relook at how do we protect open space in this town. There's a almost 400-unit senior housing project that we just saw up here on this bulletin board earlier in this presentation. Well, that's in the works. It makes a lot more sense to put almost 400 units on a dead space in a mall that's going to help revitalize a mall instead of chopping down trees on another 30 acres a half mile up the road from there. Why do we need both? What's the thinking process that goes on here? I think these are questions that need to be addressed, and I really would ask the board to allow this project to continue to move forward so that we can have time to think about all this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Seguin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Seguin. I live at 25 Knollwood Drive. I've been in the town of Wilton pretty much my whole life. I was raised here by my parents and left for a little while, came back, and now I'm raising my kids here. I went to Dorothy Nolan, they went to Dorothy Nolan, and why I'm up here tonight is because I'd like to support the moratorium on the solar. They're talking about building a very large solar generation facility right behind my house within 100 feet of where my children play. You know, there's a lot of concerns that I have and a lot of concerns that my fellow neighbors have as well. You know, not to mention, you know, the 34 acres that's going to be cleared. We're talking about green space tonight. Well, we're going to lose 34 acres of green space, you know, with this solar plant. So I support the moratorium. I think it's a smart thing to do. You know, take some time, maybe figure out where is appropriate for solar. It sounds like we got a large mall parking lot. Maybe would be a great place for the solar. But I'd like to, you know, ask the board to strongly consider the moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Gell.
I'm Steve Seguin's neighbor, so the solar farm is going to affect my home as well. And we've lived here for 20 years, and if you know our neighborhood, we are wedged between a railroad, which my son with autism, when we first moved in, loved counting the 200 freight cars that went by, and we have gotten used to billboards and their lights. We've kind of gotten used to the Northway. And then when you leave our development, we've got a circle because there's a new development going up. So we feel very sandwiched. And the thought of our green space, which is the only space left behind our homes, to have a 34-acre solar farm sit behind it is very upsetting. And I was going to say, like Steve, if we could solve two problems, slap those solar panels on top of that mall and call it a day. But John, you've been to our house, you've put out fires in our backyard, sorry about that. You have been there when I had a car accident, sorry about that. But I feel like we're more about people than we are about things that are happening. And I just think we have to keep our eye on that picture. And my husband and I were working on, and our whole neighborhood has worked on our homes over these years. And my husband and I were putting a new kitchen, we were putting a backsplash in. And my husband said to me this weekend, and it was pretty upsetting, because he said, I gotta tell you that if these solar farms go in, we're gonna sell before they go in. And that was so disappointing after all these years with our kids and working on that house, that could be our reality, and it shouldn't be, because we love being here and we want to stay, and that did it for me, and that made me get up and speak. So just please think about us, because it's important. We're important. Thank you.
Sure.
Steve Baderian.
There we go.
Good evening. My name is Steve Baderian. I live at 8 Woodland Drive here in Wilton. I'd like to speak in support of the PUD application that's being considered for the mall. I can only reiterate what's been said by others, that the retail environment of our country as a whole has been declining for big box stores and malls in particular. We are surrounded by failing malls. Cross Gates is on the downward turn. Aviation Mall, the same story. Rotterdam, the same story. We have an opportunity to abate that downward trend with this change, this proposed change to our mall. One of the things that I found very advantageous to living in Wilton was that the tax rate was so much lower in comparison to our surrounding communities. And that is because of the retail environment that exists around Exit 15 and now on the Route 9 corridor. These businesses give us the luxury of having a low tax base, and we need to support their continued viability. Now, you cannot have all that you want without some compromise, and that's what's being asked of this town, is to compromise. There is an opportunity here to stop the slide. And if you look at the typical impact of a residence in the apartments, of that 400 apartments versus the 400 single-family homes, families have a net negative impact on the tax base. They usually require more services, more school impact, more emergency services than do high-end apartments. So if you're considering that we are going to lose the ability to support the town, then I think you need to get behind this PUD and accept. Yes, there is going to be change. We have introduced a national chip plant just down the road. These people are coming up and they're bringing their six-figure and seven-figure salaries with them. And they do not buy, they rent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Survey Doken, is that correct? I couldn't read the first name. Sergey?
Hello, my name is Semi Doken. I don't know if I look this way or what. It's my first time. I'm here to speak in favor of the apartments at the mall. I think if you want a Wilton that preserves its low tax reputation. You want good school. I have a kid. I'm also concerned about schools. I mean, I feel like it's a godsend because you have so many people who are going to be contributing to the tax base without cutting trees down and frankly adding to traffic. People talked about traffic on Route 9. You know who's adding to traffic on Route 9? People like me who live off of Route 9 in Northern Pines and single-family homes. These people will be living in what is currently a concrete, if you want to go to downtown Saratoga, it's Route 50. If you want to get out of Saratoga, it's the highway. It's people like me who are commuting 2 times a day on Route 9 from the suburbs that are contributing. So I wrote down, and the other idea I heard was small businesses could be an alternative. I'm pretty sure that business people have considered the possibility of doing that, and consumers just happen to vote in the other direction. There probably were small businesses and restaurants there. They did not, unfortunately, succeed. That's why we are here. And this is a way to make some gains. I would actually be very sad if the mall that I enjoy with my child on weekends was not doing well in a few years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak, didn't sign up?
Can everybody hear me? Chad Jerome, I live over on Gaylor Road. With respect to the Wilton Mall project, I've heard a lot of the comments obviously tonight, and everybody keeps talking about how it's going to revitalize the mall. But then I also hear in the same breath, malls are failing all over the area. And the idea that an apartment complex is going to revitalize this mall, to somehow reverse the trend that's going nationwide, I haven't heard how that's really going to happen other than apartments. And there's going to be some residents there that are going to what? Somehow spend all their time at the mall and at the whatever businesses happen to come into the mall after this is built. The project itself is building a lot of things within its own structure for these residents to entertain themselves, to do. Idea, you don't have to go outside of our own apartment complex to do anything. To me, quite honestly, it seems like the developer has a benefit here. There's no property tax. They're going to save a lot of money annually on property tax issues for that. Pass on to the residents, of course. Okay? It will. We don't have a town tax.
Right.
So we don't get a property tax for it. Okay? That's a benefit to the developer. It's also, hang on, it's also beneficial to build here because Saratoga Springs, which I'm sure would love to because you get a better rent district down there, you have an annual tax, property tax. You also have very limited space to build down there. So where are you going to go? You're going to move out to the Wilton Mall. The draw, to me, seems more to, hey, we're close to Saratoga Springs, and you can go there. I haven't heard anything about what's actually going into developing the mall, other than we'll buy that property and build our places there. We're not developing the mall, which apparently is their base where their residents are going to go. But it's not going into the mall. It's going into their own structures. So I'm against this project, quite honestly, because I just don't see that it is a benefit to the developer, but it's not a benefit to the mall. And I understand the mall wants to survive and wants to thrive. We all would like that to happen. I just don't see that to be the case. And what's happened, I believe will happen, is when if the mall should fail, and if the national trend keeps going that way, it seems like that unfortunately is a reality. The developer will be there to say, we'll take the property and we'll build more. I think that's the catalyst here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else out?
Yes.
My name is Charles Cronin. I live in Saratoga Springs, and I know a little bit about this particular subject of revitalizing malls. Many years ago, there was 2,500 of them. Now there are about 600. It's predicted that about 150 of the 600 are going to survive. I also know a little bit about the particular project. in the area because I've financed every single piece of property surrounding the property. All of the people who finance real estate, which you need to develop real estate, which you need to revitalize a mall, these kinds of projects are not financed by local banks. These projects are financed by out-of-area, large institutions. When they come to Saratoga, they're delighted. When they come to Wilton, they're delighted. But frankly, in recent trips, they've become less delighted because they're seeing the Wilton Mall fall into decline. I have studies here, I have facts and figures related to apartment development. I've stood in front of 30 or 40 separate town councils and talked about apartments. When you talk about the apartments that we're talking about, people were asking questions about how it impacts the school district. It is far less factually negative for school districts. It's significantly better for school districts. I just got involved with Starbucks Island down by Troy. There are more than 250 luxury apartments there. If anybody would like to guess how many school children live there, 3. I've financed over 4,000 apartments in the Capital District. Luxury apartments have very little children. Most of the residents that live there are 55 or over. They may be in Florida 3 months a year. They don't want a home. They don't want to be cutting lawns. Many of the people from Global Foundries or other economic drivers within our community are younger, very well educated, and they choose to rent. They don't want to cut lawns. They want to be able to hop on an airplane and go somewhere for the weekend. I'm very much in favor of this. It is the momentum that this property needs to turn around. And I spend a lot of time nationwide working on redevelopment of malls. I've got studies that if anybody would like to see it, from the National Association of Realtors, from there's a retail group, National Retail Group. There's tons of facts and figures. Many malls have, in fact, turned around. But they turned around with momentum. I'm currently in the process of financing the Clifton Park Mall, which was a very vacant,
Wrap it up in about 30 seconds.
which was a vacant, terrible piece of property. If you go there now, it's a vibrant retail center generating tremendous revenues and tax base for the county. And I also understand how taxes work and how sales tax is distributed. And it's not good for us to not do this. It's important to build momentum and help turn them all around. And it will bring smaller tenants, and it will bring the kind of tenants that many people in the room said they'd like to see in the mall. I know that, but I do it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura Lorenko. I'm at 71 Edie Road, so I live just down, I live right off Loudon, just down from the mall. A lot of my points have already been made, so I'll just reiterate, I support this project. I think this is really smart to allow mixed-use development in this area for a lot of the reasons that have already been stated. It's already developed land, it's in the center, it's been designed for intense use, so it's not adding to some of the development service and tax burdens the way that a greenfield development would. Development is really going this way too. People like to see town centers. This would sort of add a bit of a walkable town center for us. I'm really looking forward to the day when I can bike from my house down Loudon, do my shopping, and bike back, and not have to get in my car and be traffic on the road. And I think this would add to that as well. You'd have more residents who would be able to walk and do their shopping and do their services in a walkable or bikeable manner. I think the mall has done a great job keeping it an active space. They've been very creative with some maybe non-traditional uses of those malls, but I agree with the other speakers who have been stating these trends where that big retail is not coming back in the same way. We're seeing this across the country. So filling that full space again, I think, is unrealistic, and this is a good opportunity. I work in urban planning. A lot of my communities would love to have this kind of opportunity coming into their town to fill up what is a vacant lot. It's a blighted building, and no offense to the mall, I think they're really trying, but this is just a national trend, and this would be a really good use of an already developed space. So I would like to ask the town to consider rezoning this for the PUDD and to set the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Anybody else like to speak?
We got one more.
Hi, I'm Jean Marie Breen. I live on the Knollwood Drive, at 37 Knollwood. I am looking at a picture over there of a very old store in Wilton that my husband used to ride his bike to. It's no longer there, and he no longer rides his bike. I am watching what's going on with the solar power project in our backyard, and I'm appalled that would even be considered for a moment because of its proximity to our homes, or any home in any residence. It is not the place for that industry. I'm for solar. I am not for solar near residences. We have several concerns that have been listed. I've brought them to you. I don't need to reiterate them. But the bottom line is, would anybody in this room want to have 20-foot solar panels 100 feet from their back door or less? So that's my
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Bob Marcello. I live at 39 Knollwood Drive. I was motivated to speak a little bit on the mall project just because I moved to Clifton Park in 1972. What the Clifton Country Mall was batting cages and a fire station back then. People have talked about, I would want to live in Clifton Park. We're going to become Clifton Park if we don't watch it, or Colony. As far as the solar panels, we were doing an annual review with my financial advisor. We just retired about a year and a half ago. I told him what was going on. He said, move. He said, your property value is going to just go through the floor. Probably 20,000 to 30,000, if not more. He's got solar panels on his house that he wish he never did because he can't sell his house because of that. Let alone a fire, a whole plant there. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mackenzie. I work at the mall. I'm a store manager. I wanted to speak in support of the project. I worked in the mall since this past June, and I've been listening to a lot of the ideas the community members have tonight, and specifically around small businesses taking up spaces in the mall. I've personally watched at least 6 small businesses go in and out of the mall. Traffic is not what it used to be. I grew up in the area. I know what the mall was like when we were younger. And I think that Mike and the mall management have made a lot of efforts to drive traffic to the mall and to, quite honestly, create activities in an area that we have a large chunk of the year, not a lot of things to do. We have the farmer's market all winter, which people absolutely love. We have the RV show going on right now, the boat show. There's lots of activity going on at the mall, but it just can't compensate for what we've lost in terms of stores and different things. And I've been talking to customers who are obviously disappointed in what the mall has become, and a lot of people are in support of the project that we're talking about. People want to see restaurants, they want to see the movie theater back, they want activities to do. It's not just about shopping, and the mall offers those things. And we also get a lot of teenagers. We constantly have kids walking around the mall. We have people who utilize the mall for walking around in the winter, different things like that. The mall has recreational purposes outside of just shopping. And I think that looking at those and the larger picture there as well, the mall offers different things to the community than just a recreational space. And whatever we can do to keep that open for the public will ultimately benefit the community. And especially when downtown has limitations, traffic, parking, different things, the mall offers a second place in the area for people to go. And with the local malls closing, I know the company I work for has seen a lot of movement to freestanding locations. It's a great way to keep people in Wilton and shopping in the area, because I know that my company has looked for freestanding locations and we haven't really been able to find much outside of the mall. So in place of seeing businesses leave the area, revitalizing the mall by bringing people in with the apartments and utilizing the mall as a multi-use space could be really helpful to the community.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Lonnie Lennon. I live at 146 Ingersoll Road. I guess everyone's talking about the whole mall thing. I, in general, think it's a good idea. I work with the arcade that's in the mall. Two of the other malls that we were in Massachusetts and one of them in Vermont went under this year, and they're just bulldozing them, and one's getting a bunch of apartment buildings and the other is just getting a strip mall. So if the mall goes under, they're going to just do this anyway. So this would at least give some time to try and extend the life of the mall and figure things out. But it's not like if the mall goes under, this won't happen. The developers would chomp at it anyway. So it's a bit ridiculous to not think they would do it. As for the solar panels, I think that's also a pretty bad idea. If you look at solar panels and their environmental impact, right now they don't really have too many ideas on what to do with them. After 20, 30 years, they're toxic waste. Right now they bury them out in the desert, and they hope that in 50 to 100 years we'll have a way to recycle them. So solar panels aren't really that good. That's pretty much all I've got to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, I'm Janet Frioff. I am a resident 26 and a half years. I live in Mulberry Estates, Dandelion Drive, 29. And I have seen a lot of change. Of course, a bunch of people have said that. Wilton's done a lot of development over the years, and the revitalization and a multi-use space at the mall is an opportunity that I think we need to continue to talk about and look at and not take off the table at this point. So I'm very much in support of continuing the process, doing the zoning that needs to be done so that we can continue the conversation and the mall becomes a vital place as many people have already talked about tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. When do we stop?
No.
Okay,
Board,
is it?
can I just say, if we're going to implement a 3-minute rule, can we also do a microphone rule so everybody can hear it? It's really difficult to hear.
Amen. Hi, my name is John Friedman. I live in Saratoga Springs, but I can attest that at least half of my retail spending happens in Wilton. I moved here 5 years ago from the San Francisco Bay Area. I grew up originally in the Syracuse area, and a lot of people really shook their head when they were wondering what I was doing coming back here. And what I love about this area is just how we embrace opportunity. And there's a real opportunity here to turn a dying mall around. I also work in the commercial real estate industry, and these are case studies. These things die. There are not retail developers that are champing at the bit to buy these properties. There's no investment desire for them right now. Where there is desire is on turning these properties into mixed-use properties. you are not hurting the footprint here, you're adding green space. This really just seems like a great opportunity, and one that as someone that takes pride in this area and someone in the real estate business, it would be really a shame to pass this up. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody else?
Doris is only around the corner.
Brad Wiggins on Castleberry Drive. Good evening, my fellow community members. Please allow me to take a few minutes of your time to explain why I'm in support of the Wilton Mall apartment proposal by Paramount. Young people. I'm a young adult and moved to the greater capital region at 22 years old. I had a new job, a college education, and money to burn. But where should I settle? Where should I raise my family? Where should I spend my money? Where should I vote? Where should I bring new energy? Saratoga Springs? Well, Saratoga Springs is an inspiring place for a young person, a place where mansions and Porsches line the streets, a place where the American dream exists. But the truth is, Saratoga Springs is just too expensive of a place to buy a home and just starting out. So an apartment it is. I was looking for something nice and new. I was certainly willing to be in driving distance away. So let's look at an adjacent community. How about Wilton? How does Wilton attract its young people? How does any community attract its young people? Well, just as is said in the classic 1989 film Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner's character is walking through a cornfield with the inner voice echoing, "If you build it, he will come." In this particular case, we don't have a cornfield, but we do have a mall parking lot. A parking lot next to a struggling mall. Now, there are a few people in favor of this parking lot. I'm not sure why. I mean, it's a sturdy parking lot, very gray, and it will certainly strive to organize the few remaining cars that are left. But I'm against the parking lot. Not because I have a personal grudge against gray hard surfaces, but because I would like to aim higher. Let's aim for something better. Let's aim for something that will attract the competitive market of young people. The young people do not come to Wilton for Wilton, they come to Wilton for Saratoga Springs. So we can either compete with the other adjacent communities, or we can let the other communities like Boston Spa or Malta beat us. We can win. We are set up to win, thanks to Paramount. There are countless reasons for the proposal and no logical reasons against it. Sorry, parking lot. But let's be realistic. Money drives business. Business drives tax revenue. The only reason I can think of why members on the town board would be against it is due to the fact that young, educated people with money typically vote blue and not red. But is politics a reason to jeopardize this much-needed economic boost? I don't think that is moral nor wise for the future of this town. If the proposal doesn't pass, well, we can all watch the mall continue to empty, and we can say we tried. But just as Kevin Costner's character is encouraged to build a field of dreams in that iconic film, we should go the distance. So I say to my fellow community members, to the board, go the distance, go the distance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I take offense to that. Looks like it.
Anybody else want to speak?
Is there anybody left? Offense to that last comment.
Everybody get a chance to read last.
I make the motion to close public comment.
Yeah, we don't need a motion for that.
You don't?
No.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I thought we used to motion that.
It was 30-day waiver for 13 Acres LLC. That's a restaurant at McGregor Golf Course. They need it for their state liquor license.
I'll make a motion for the 30-day waiver.
I'll second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Camp Saratoga Delagon Pond Fishing. Just allow fishing there and stocking and all that. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. solar array moratorium. Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Hang on, gotta fill in some blanks.
Yes.
Let's fill them in.
Which relate to dates.
Effective March 2nd?
Notion was 6 months. If you want to use March 2nd today, then I'm going to suggest the second date be September 7th. 6 months. Which is a few days longer than 6 months, but would be the first Thursday in September, which would be the night of our town board meeting.
September 7th it is. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Norwood Drive.
Chapter 43 code. Provisions, that's it. New York State Fire and Building Code. Need a motion to accept it.
Fire Chief?
I'll make the motion, we accept it.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Modification of partial tax exemption for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers and unmarried spouses of workers killed in the line of duty. Let's set up a public hearing.
I'll make that motion to set a public hearing.
Second.
Second.
In
That
favor?
will be April 6th
April 6th.
at 7 PM. I'm sorry, who made that motion?
Dwayne.
Dwayne and John. Thank you.
Seconded, John?
Yep.
In favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Wilton Mall, PUDD, need a motion, set up public hearing.
Given the level of interest of members of the community, I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for the Wilton Mall PUDD application.
Can we have a discussion on this first, or no?
Well, sure.
Supervisor?
Yeah.
So I do see a lot of mixed feelings out there in the audience. I've been working on this project for 2 years now with the mall and with Paramount Industries. And one of the very questions that was asked was, out of this sale, what was going to be put into the mall? Both times the answer was, they don't put money into failing malls. We tried again a year later to try to come up with some different ideas to allow this project to go forward, and they just weren't willing to put anything out there for the residents of the town of Wilton. Myself and Councilman Bogartis sat down with them. They put a few, I got a letter stating somehow that I offered a trade for a park, but that wasn't the case. My offer was to, we passed a local law for...
John, that letter is underneath.
It is there?
It is under the planning board recommendation.
To do a zoning swap, to buy a parcel of land in the town of Wilton and use the zoning rights from that parcel of land and apply it to the mall. To me, it would have been a win-win. Declined again. We asked about what they were going to do to revitalize the mall. If 18,000 people in the town of Wilton can't revitalize the mall, how is 400 from a luxury apartment? I just want everybody in the audience to know this has been being worked on for the last 2 years. That's pretty much what I got to say. Now we can move forward with this. Unless somebody else has anything. It wasn't a, it was, I just wanted to let the audience know that this wasn't something that was done, that we have been working with both parties, Paramount and Mason. So if you want to go ahead, Chief, or Supervisor.
You want to make a motion?
I'll reiterate my motion to schedule a public hearing for April on this PUDD application.
Second? Second. Motion fails.
683 Route 9.
There was no motion, there was no second to the motion, so it doesn't go anywhere.
Well, I knew that was going to be brought up, but we can do that for you.
We have counsel right here, we can confer with our counsel.
I'm not sure I understand the objection. There's no requirement, I may have misunderstood, but there's no requirement that we have all 5 town board members present. There's no requirement that we even have 4 town board members present. We do have to have 3 town board members present.
We have no second, so this is, move on.
Take that issue.
There's no, the motion was made, if I understand correctly, the motion was made and the motion was not seconded. So there's no action on the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not going to answer questions from the audience unless you all ask me to, but yet, what I just said is what I stipulated, which is, a motion was made, it was not seconded, so no action's been taken.
Thank you.
Thank you. 633 Route 9 PUDD
680.
application. Set public hearing for the Saratoga County Planning Board. You want to make a motion?
Ryan, do you have anything to say? I'm sorry. Yeah.
I wasn't sure
He can speak about it a little bit. This is Chad. He's 680. Yeah.
The 683 Route 9? Yeah. 683 Route 9. Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, go on.
You got 3 minutes. No, take it. You got the floor.
We're going to give you 5.
Smack that hammer.
Smack your hand. They're talking.
No solar panels?
Which one is this?
Very disappointed. I'm not going to stay anymore for this. Thanks, gentlemen.
Hi, my name's
Expect something more democratic, unfortunately.
Go ahead, sir.
My name's Chad Pagan. I'm from Ingalls Associates, and I'm here to represent have the town of Wilton consider a change of zone for 683 Route 9. Currently, the parcel is just under 31 acres. It's 30.99 to 31. And currently, there's a historical building on the parcel. I don't know if anyone knows where this is.
Yep.
And the owner has restored the building. It looks pretty nice.
Done a beautiful job. Done a beautiful job.
Yeah, they hit a chamber mixer there recently, I think, right?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. The owner renovated the building, and he currently uses it as an Airbnb, and then he does small events, small weddings, and so forth, and he's looking to expand that. But in order to do that, he needs to change the zone on the parcel, because he would like to develop it in 2 phases. But during the first phase would just be expanding the hospitality situation that he's got going on there now with weddings and events and so forth there, where he's going to put some tents up there'll be temporary structures on the place to serve the needs of whatever kind of party he's doing, wedding, a mitzvah, or something to that nature. That's what he wants to do in the phase 1 part. In phase 2, he would like to retain, still using the renovated home and so forth for events and that, and then develop some single-family homes and then some condominiums. But throughout all of this, 50% of this area is going to remain open space, no development. And that's his intention through the whole part of this. So I'm asking the town to consider a recommendation to the planning board to have this go further.
What's he currently use the property for now?
He's using the existing building that he renovated, and then there was 2 garages and a barn that were put in years after that house was there.
and he's renovated those, so he does a small Airbnb. It's usually associated with the events he's doing, the weddings, like the...
So he's doing weddings and stuff now?
Yeah, weddings and...
Does he have a license through the
No,
town?
he isn't doing them, he isn't doing weddings now, right now. That's what he's trying to do.
No, he's saying they are doing
Well, he
weddings.
does...
He got stopped.
Yeah.
Okay,
Stopped.
no, that's why I'm
He got
asking.
stopped. He thought he could, but he stopped. That's why he's here.
Zoned for this type?
Well, that's why he's going through the PUD.
Why he's doing it.
This is a referral to just the planning board, I'm assuming, correct?
I don't know.
What's the total number of residential units that's proposed?
It would be 14 single families and 21 condominiums, so what are we talking, 28, 20? Already. And it would be a road that would be built to the town standards, and we're proposing now to be the town road. And obviously, that's subject to review by planning.
We weren't in favor of that being a town road.
Yes, well...
And he agreed to it.
We kind of knew that, but we don't always ask.
That's right.
But regardless if the road is taken over by the town or privately maintained or constructed for town standards. And we want to bring utility, water and sewer that are available kitty corner on Waller Road to bring in, because currently the site does not have water and sewer. And he brings in trailers when he has events, and he will have events for bathroom facilities. That's planning on doing now. Until we can develop this, then he'll bring the water and the sewer into the site for the development of everything.
Ryan, the preponderance of the property is zoned R3, correct?
The rear parts are correct.
Is I can't remember the charts off the top of my head, but is the number of units consistent? I didn't think so. No. Yeah. I mean, planned unit developments, at least in this town's history, generally weren't used to subvert the normal density requirements of particular parcel. So in this particular case, the number of residential units being requested is substantially greater than what would normally be allowed in our zone. Am I correct on that?
I have not had a chance to review all of this.
Okay.
I just, cursory review, I have some issues, especially one with the road being constructed and turned over to the town. I know our town highway superintendent is not in favor of something like that. Also, there's significant wetlands. I know the property fairly well. I've been back there, and there's streams. Where these single-family homes are being proposed, there's actually a waterfall back there. So I think it needs some additional review before, moving the language, this forward. In my opinion, it's up to you guys what you want to do, but the model law as well, it's got some questions, seems like there should be more information provided in this model law of the PUD. So,
and again, I know this is going to be off the top of your head, but the number of condominium units that are in the, is this a C1 zone?
Yes.
Okay. It is not in the hamlet, correct?
Correct, not in the hamlet.
Okay, so normally, multifamily housing would not be allowed.
Correct.
In this zone.
This is...
Okay. I would concur with, with the town engineer that, for me anyway, I think this needs a lot more homework before it moves on to a referral or, any other possible action.
You'd rather have them sit down with you, Mark?
Yeah, I think the zoning officer hasn't looked at this as well.
No, he's been out.
Yeah, he's been out of the office, or a zoning officer should be reviewing this before, make sure it's in general compliance with the underlying zoning is usually the density calculations that are used.
This has significant steep slopes. There's going to be issues with erosion, stormwater issues. You have a large pond down there, a lot of Army Corps wetlands, stream. There's going to be Army Corps impacts. And I have just looked at this
I took a gander out the last couple of days and now I have your expertise, but I still have those questions.
Give us a chance to look at it, bring it back next time.
Okay, so I'm gonna get some comments on what we would like to see.
Get over to Ryan.
Yeah, get in touch with us or zoning officer at the office. He's going to look at this. I think he's scheduled to come back next.
Monday or Tuesday.
So sometime next week, we can take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Partnership for school safety. Talk about that, Ray.
Yeah, I've had a number of conversations with, various staff and officials of the school district, school board members, and they've made a decision to add an additional school resource officer that would share time between the Dorothy Nolan School here in the town of Wilton and also the Greenfield Elementary School up in the town of Greenfield. And I wanted the town board to consider in this partnership that we have for the safety of the students and staff at the Dorothy Nolan School to, share financially the responsibility of having that officer present at the school. So my suggestion is that since the school resource officer will only be in Dorothy Nolan in our town on a part-time basis, that we utilize a small portion of our ARPA funds, American Recovery Plan Act funds, and contribute $25,000 a year for a 3-year period towards the cost of that school resource officer, which does two things. I think it shows our, the town's support for school safety and the safety of the students and staff, and it also can free up resources for the school district if they want to add additional counselors or other resources that contribute to school safety. They can do that as well. So I suppose I'll make a motion that we allocate $25,000 of our ARPA funds for the current year and the next 2 years, and after 3 years we can reassess.
Right now, are we splitting the cost with Greenfield? Is that the proposal?
I don't know what Greenfield is going to do. I had a conversation several months ago with the supervisor, but I don't believe they've...
No, the 25,000 isn't the whole.
No, it's 90-some thousand for an officer.
Yeah, it's roughly, the school resource officer will only be doing a half year this year.
Right.
And that cost is about $37,500. So because the SRO, when school is not open during the summer, the school district does not pay 100% of the expense. It's roughly about $75,000.
So we're looking like 1/3 the cost.
Yeah.
Now, if Greenfield doesn't join in on this, what happens?
The school district will pick up the difference.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Have a second on it?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Kevin Park, AED Emergency Medical Response Action Plan.
I'd like to table that to next month. I have not finished it.
Okay. Everybody in agreement?
Yep.
Dean Callaghan, Senate,
I'll move to accept his resignation from the Zoning Board of Appeals with regret.
Second?
Second.
In favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Appoint Dean Callaghan to Wilton Planning Board, second alternate from 3/2/2023 to 12/31/2023. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Culligan to the planning board without regret.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Nicholas Collins, to 3/2/23 to 12/31/29. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Amanda Paulfrey, 3/2/2023 to 12/31/2027. Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Scott Duffy, the Zoning Board of Appeals, for 3/2/2023 to 12/31/2025.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Duffy.
Second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Another appointment, Sean, how do you say it? Lesko, first alternate, 3/2/2023 to 12/31/2023.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Lesko.
Second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Carried. Second alternate, Christopher Iwinski. Second alternate, 3/2/2023, 12/31/2023.
He's a smart one.
I'll make, his sentence is much shorter than the others.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Iwinski as an alternate to the ZBA.
I'll second it.
Have a second?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We did have a lot of good candidates, that were hard choices, but I'm pretty sure we picked out some great folks there. Oh, well, committee reports. Yeah, I know. Anybody got anything on committee?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. I'm going to call this the open space report. We're still moving ahead with the Graphite Range project. And with the highway superintendent's help, at some point, we'll be building a parking area for the range. I was up there, gosh, maybe about a month or so ago. The bike trails they're just awesome. I walk them because I'm not that good on a mountain bike. But no, thank you. I don't want to borrow one. You won't get it back in one piece.
You can ride it downhill.
So that's moving along.
The parking lot is scheduled my highway superintendent would like to do it as soon as the weather breaks.
Great.
Surveyor's going to be out there mid-month surveying, putting up some stakes for the highway department to do their work, so.
Terrific.
Is that on Route 9?
On Route 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little driving range, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and everyone appreciates the work that, Ryan and especially Mike will be doing out there in support of this project. There's a planned unit development project that John Witt has over on the Palmertown Range, and gosh, maybe a couple of weeks ago, a easement for a trail, an easement to Saratoga Plan was granted so that folks can have access up into the Palmertown Range off of the end of Woodward Road. So that's finally gotten done after several years of negotiation. And let's see. Oh, and is Joanne Klepitar still here? Oh, I was going to say something nice about her. The Klepitar family has been working on, I think it's about 400 acres of, devoting about 400 acres to permanent open space. And Saratoga Plan is working on a couple of grant applications to fund that project, and I just wanted to commend the supervisor for sending a letter of support for those grant applications, and hopefully that project will get done too. That's all I got.
Anything, Dwayne?
No.
John?
No, I'm all set.
A lot of residents received a letter from Community Solar.
Yes.
About saving money. Solar farm in Gloversville. The company's out of Chicago. this has nothing to do with the town. It said prepared for the town of Wilton. The town of Wilton had nothing to do with that letter.
Is it a scam? You know,
Sue was going to try and call and fool him. I don't know what happened.
I did not have the opportunity to call them today.
I automatically assumed it was the one off Noble Drive.
No, it's in Gloversville. I don't want to use the word scam, misleading.
Very misleading.
Very much so.
Misleading maybe for our name.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is, he wants to change it from scam to misleading.
But the only reason I opened it up is in Wilton.
Right, there's a group at St. Peter's Church. It's called Bike-a-Toga, where they refurb bicycles and give them away, and it's on our website. They even give helmets away, training wheels, lights.
Right, training wheels.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Still not enough.
I've seen them in action, Ray.
Yeah, he definitely needs them.
This is on our website. It looks like a good thing for getting a free bike.
Yeah, that's good.
They are also looking for volunteers.
And volunteers too. Last month we had that Narcon giveaway and training at Gavin Park, which I think was a great success. We had like 46 cars, a giveaway of like 108 kits. I think we would have had a lot more, but it was a very, very cold day. And this is a major problem in the country, but it's a major problem in this county. Marie and I went to a thing this week in the county for that.
Yeah.
How do you say it? Opioid settlement, and they have a lot of things planned to help people. And I think this town board, we should do everything we can to fight this war on drugs, which is affecting our people. It's affecting a lot. Maybe we can have some speakers come into Gavin Park this summer that...
It's building side.
But we got to do our part. That's all I've got. Controller's report.
Yes, thank you. So the first category is our budget transfers, and the first three items in that category relate to the purchase of laptops and printers for departments that needed those pieces of equipment. The fourth item relates to telephone and internet services at the substation for the sheriff's department. And the last item in budget transfers relates to the maintenance for the printer plotter machine that we have for the zoning, planning, and code enforcement departments to use.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget transfers 1 through 5.
Second?
Second.
Thanks, John.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The second category is our budget amendments. Items 1 and 2 relate to the water damage that we had at the court recently, earlier. Actually, I was going to say earlier this month, but it was already last month, February 6th to be exact. We discovered water in the court, not to be confused with order in the court.
Well played.
Well, I can't take credit for that. That was somebody else's. I just brought it here.
I was just going to ask her, does she just say water?
Water in the court.
New York accent.
Yeah, that's right. So we had to replace the copier. We have some other minor equipment that we have to replace. There's also damage that we're covering costs in the building department, just kind of capturing those costs. That's why number 2 is also outlined. We are being reimbursed by insurance for some of these things. As we continue to get reimbursed, we will be replacing that fund balance with the insurance reimbursement. So right now, we're taking money from fund balance, but we'll be replenishing that. Item 3 is our telephone system that we purchased last year through Spectrum. We're just increasing our budget this year for this year's expenses related to that. Items 4 and 5 relate to our dog control officers for part-time salary, as well as for additional expenditures related to that department that are estimated to be incurred because we have somebody new coming on. It also is an increase of part-time hours, which is, at this point right now, 910 hours, but is being proposed to be increased to 1,040 hours. So it's going from 17 and a half hours per week to 20 hours per week. And that's just because of the feedback that we've gotten from the community, the level of activity that we are noticing with the current DCO that we have, who is bringing us reports and itemized lists of all of the activities that he's doing. So we see that there's an increased amount of activity, a need for a new person to assist him because the calls come in all hours, day, night, weekends.
7 days a week.
Item 6, we have field renovation in baseball field D that we are going to be doing work on that field. It's not level, it needs to be leveled out. We've received some quotes, and the one that came in was for $33,600, which is a substantial amount of money, but it's more expensive, I believe, to try to keep repairing in patches, and then, of course, the liability of somebody getting hurt because the field is not level.
Field's in rough shape, it's gotta be done. A couple of us walked through it, John and I.
Yeah.
And
John, is that the field we've been having problems with?
Yeah, this is the proposal is a one and done. It should be, once this is done, they'll be able to just maintain it.
They're gonna strip it.
And keep it up, yeah, right, they're gonna go right, they're gonna go
do it from the outfield
right
to the
through it.
infield. The whole entire thing. It's not gonna be just the infield.
Okay.
Item 7, I'll formally just request the use of the ARPA money for the partnership with the schools that Councilman O'Connor had brought up earlier. We'll use $25,000 from ARPA money for that. And the last item in our budget amendments is using appropriated fund balance for permanent improvements in the highway fund that actually last May, we had made this same budget amendment, but the money was never used because we never got to those streets. So the money was put into fund balance at the end of last year. We're just pulling that money back out so that we can get to those streets this year. That's the forest development.
Really? You can't spend it?
It was, you know what, it was not scheduled to be done.
Kurt would have never did that.
Somebody wanna make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
For 1 through 8.
Move 1 through 8.
Budget amendment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you. The third item for personnel is Mr. Clark is available to begin work as the part-time dog control officer that we just spoke about in terms of the money aspect, pending completion of his background check process, which he came in for a couple of days ago. Once that background check is complete and the results are in, he would be ready to work. If the board approves it, his rate would be at the hourly rate of $27.50, which is what the other dog control officer also makes.
Make the motion to approve that.
The $29,575, is that the same?
Yes.
So that's just basically showing us this hourly?
Exactly. It's just naming the name. Basically, not that, I don't think that we legally have to do that, but yeah, we don't have to legally do that, but it's just, you know, well-rounded information. And the last item is the annual LoSAP audit that I do. We have...
Let's do that last one. I made the motion.
Have a second?
Yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you. Thank you. And the last item is the...
Chris, go home, sit by the phone.
Wait for the clock.
I'm sorry, Maria.
It's okay. The annual LoSAP audit has been completed. The next step is that I will be giving the paperwork back to the Wilton Emergency Squad. They will post that information. The volunteers will be reviewing it over the next 30 days, and if it's not, questioned by the volunteers, then it goes to the next step, which is the PenFlex, who's the pension administrator, will bill the town because we are the sponsor of the LoSAP pension plan for Wilton Emergency Squad. So there were no exceptions in my audit noted. So I'd like to have a resolution that the board accepts my audit.
I'll make a motion to accept the controller's audit.
And second?
I'll second it.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, highway, we haven't had a lot of snow, but we've had a a lot of ice. I want to thank you all the time you guys put in. They got hit head-on the other night, thank God. No one was hurt. Yes, you do. Done a great job. And our building department, I want to thank them. We had a flooding over at the court, and they put a lot of work into it and did a great job.
Right in front of my shop.
Right.
Bursted in flames.
So we want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Anybody else want to speak?
And there'll be no overtime for anybody either.
Yep.